engaging session from the last one where you got to know how we can really measure AI and put it into production. So what we are going to be talking about is going to be a little bit on the financial domain, how we are taking in agentic AI and actually putting it out into the production, which has not been the regular scenario in the financial world specifically. So that's what we'll target today. First of all, let me start with a quick introduction. She did give some part of it. So I work as an associate data scientist at MSCI. I have worked at multiple companies before, starting with Quantify being the last role where I worked at, then Viacom 18, General Mills, and also BNP Paribas, where I started out as a software developer. Currently, I really love working with all kinds of ML problems. And I have worked in this space for more than 7 years now, and I've seen how you can really implement AI and ML and bring value by putting it into production in the current stage. Where in the industry today, what you'll hear about is a lot about AI research and experimentations. But when it comes to actually productionizing it, it is the major challenge. And that is something which we are observing and trying to learn from it and implementing it. So I like teaching as well. So I've been a visiting faculty at Masters Union School of Business recently and primarily NMIMS Mumbai. I'm also a data science mentor. I am available on certain platforms on Preplace and TopMate. You'll also get to my LinkedIn later on in the talk. So this is one set of news that you might have seen or you might have come across where a top US agencies, secret agencies, and institutions across the world are typically leveraging AI to save on their costs, to save on their frauds as well. So as you see, what has been mentioned over here is AI helped the feds catch certain billion. They were able to really save on this billion of fraud that was really detected. So how has this happened? With the help of generative AI, agentic AI that you see all around you. Secondly, the next news article that you see is about MasterCard, which has been able to double their fraud detection rate with the help of generative AI, which you can see. So you can see that it is at the forefront of how financial world is totally transforming with the help of agentic AI today. So now we'll try to understand a little bit about what agentic AI is, the architecture that it uses, and also see its common applications to be able to give you an insight of what is happening today in the industry, which most of us may not be aware of because this is not a space which is highly put out into the you can say social media platforms or even across the world today, because it's proprietary information which may not come out in the best form possible. So this is all that we have for the agenda today. That is a short introduction about how agentic AI works and what it is really all about. We'll also see how it has really evolved in finance, right from not accepting AI at the very beginning to how it has really changed to accepting models and also moving towards understanding agentic AI and putting it into production. Then we'll see some key applications in the financial space where agentic AI has been very, very useful and where it is really transforming the world. So 3 major applications that we'll focus on. First of all, being autonomous trading. So we've all heard about automated trading, which gives us a lot of money is what all we know about. But how agentic AI is really transforming it is what we'll see. Then we'll look at risk management and fraud detection, which is a huge space in its own self, where credit risk, if you talk about it, agentic AI is really helping in that space today. And the third application, which is something which I have been myself working on day in, day out, which is a document processing system at my own organization. So I'll talk about the different challenges and the problems that we face over there and what we are able to solve through agentic AI. Then we'll look at a sample workflow to see what and where we are getting at in terms of AI. And then we look at a conclusion as to what is going to really happen, because there are some common questions which people ask me wherever I go. So that's what I want to really address. This kind of a UI, is this something that we've seen? Or like, how many of us are developers here? At least most of us. So everybody's used this GitHub Copilot in some form or the other to really assist us in coding, because it has just made us like dependent on it in a lot of ways. We make syntax errors. We try to correct them, not via Stack Overflow today, but via GitHub Copilot, because it is giving us the ease of use, right? So what is this? This is nothing but like an agent of AI which has been created and which has been deployed to you at your doorstep, which can be used in the best form possible. Now, this is a new screen which you might have seen. something which has caused a recent revolution in this space by a Chinese company which has launched this model called as DeepSeek R1, which is the latest model which has been created, and it is something which has been a revolution in comparison to OpenAI's models because it has been able to reach the same level of accuracy with lower costs, way lower costs. So that's why it's actually helping us in solving our day-to-day issues just by being itself. So this is nothing but also an example of an agent, which is helping us do a lot of things in the most easiest manner. Just to explain it to you in a layman term. Now, what is agentic AI? You must have seen a lot of talks today which talk about agentic AI, this and that. Agentic AI used there, in videos, in media, so many such places, right? So what is it exactly? It is a system which helps you to take decisions on its own, that is anonymously. It's able to do it on its own without human intervention in the simplest form possible. So it is designed in such a way that it has its own goals, own things to really achieve, and really go ahead with it, and something that improves with time. So as we know about ML models, right, like in terms of the timeline, ML takes in historical data, works on it, and then gives you results, predictions, pattern recognition, pattern learning. That's what it does through feature learning, right? Now, agentic AI is doing much more than that. You feed it in some information, it makes some sense out of it, and it's able to give you all of that replies on its own by generating replies as well, or generating answers as well. So that is what agentic AI is really helping us do, that is easing our tasks. It's a mini brain, but not typically like our human brain, but in some form. So it is mimicking humans in a lot of ways. So with respect to data science and finance, what we are totally trying to do over here is turning, I have no idea, like I have literally no idea of how to implement this, to turning it into, I have a model for this. Now we look at how it has really transformed this particular space. So this is the market rise that you can see in finance, typically from the years 2023 to 2033. This is just like a projection, how huge the market is going to really be like. The forecasted market is like $73.6 billion, which is like huge in consideration with finance, because in the past 20 years, we have adopted financial models, we have adopted it. But if we see any of the implementations today also for credit risk, or say any loan prediction model or anything of that sort, you will have a logistic regression at the back end which is working. But today, it is changing with the help of agentic AI, where the financial world is ready to, adopt things, ready to change the implementations to help us in a better way. So they're just giving you like a heads up for technology adoption. Earlier, that would not be the case. So this is a very basic architecture of how an agentic AI really looks like, where what we have on the left-hand side is the tools, that is your memory, which is nothing but the remembrance part of your architecture, which will remember whatever information you feed it in. Then you have your tools, which the agent will use, and there are certain goals which are set for an agent. Goals is nothing, just an objective which is set to be able to solve a particular problem. So that is just your problem statement kind of a thing. And that's your agent. Now, how does this agent work in this environment? It is going to be taking in certain actions based on these three input parameters that it has, which is your memory, tools, and goals. And how does it improve itself? With ChatGPT also right now today, if you see, if you start a sequence of question answer session, it gets better with time. How does it do that? It learns with the observations. So that's exactly how a agentic AI architecture also works, that it tries to learn from whatever observations it has made. Now let's look at the major aspect of, why agentic AI and how it can be useful in finance and so on. So algorithmic trading, which is one of the most significant applications in finance, where we could see a lot of technology imbibed in from earlier times, because it was a Python-based script which was earlier written, and where the call would be given in by the program itself, that okay, do a buy or do a sell call or a hold call, whatever that is. Now that there will be a transformation in this, because that would be replaced not just by the script but by the agent, who will take these calls on the behalf of your script itself. So it takes dynamic calls based on whatever information it is fed in, and it has access to a lot more information in comparison to what the scripts had earlier. We'll dive into it deeper later. Then next, what you have is credit scoring and risk assessment. So credit scoring and risk assessment, I think a very common example would be like when you go to a bank, you go to say HDFC, you go to any other bank, they give you certain documents to fill whenever you require a loan. They take in information from you, and then the bank really processes your information and takes a call whether you should be given a loan for that amount or not. So that's exactly what is credit risk. So where you are trying to leverage the fact whether this is the right person for whom the loan should be given, so that they wouldn't default further on in the times to come, and they are able to achieve their goal, that is they are able to recover the money back. So all of these things have already been automated. We'll talk about examples also related to it. Now, fraud detection and prevention. I think today a lot of newspapers really talk about this, right? Digital frauds, transaction frauds, cybersecurity frauds that we read about, where you are robbed of XYZ amount. All of these things, how do these things happen? So whenever today, if you're doing a larger amount transaction, you get a call from the bank, right? Like if it's beyond a particular amount. How do they do that? They're not doing that just because it's beyond a particular amount, but today the systems are smart enough to be able to detect whether it's a fraudulent transaction or not. It is able to do that because it has agents deployed at the back end which are doing this work for you. Then talking about portfolio management and robo-advisors. So we all used to go to our regular investment managers, wealth managers who would give us tips, right? Okay, invest in this XYZ stock, invest in this XYZ scheme and so on. Today, we already have these agents who are able to do this for us. That is your portfolio management. That is, it is able to really tell you that, okay, these are the ways in which you can invest smartly to get maximum returns. Or say even your robo-advisors are similar things only, which we are talking about right now. Next, regulatory compliance and reporting. So in terms of regulatory compliance and reporting, we have different authorities over here who are really regulating each and every transaction or investment that we do, right? So that's also an example where you will see agentic AI today a lot, where RBI itself is also adopted AI in a lot of spaces to be able to accommodate the requests and to be able to get good insightful results. Next, customer service and chatbots. How many of us like use mobile banking? I think all of us today. We use a lot of QR codes, payments, and everything that we do, and we use banking on the phone majorly, right? So how do we get problems resolved? If we are stuck somewhere and you see some transaction which was not made by you, you always reach out to the bank, right? Earlier, we would have to make a call. We would have a toll-free number or some number where we would call. Today, what do we have? We have AI chatbots integrated in those apps with whom you can really communicate, get your answers. What is all of this? This is what is your chatbot system. Now, these are also agents because they are not just designed to be able to solve particular problems. They can actually solve a holistic A to Z list of problems and get you solutions around it. So chatbots is also a very good example of how agentic AI has been implemented there. Financial forecasting. Forecasting is something that we all see, and how much we trust or not, that's a different case, where we see that a particular stock market stock price has been predicted, and whether we want to trust that and go ahead and invest in that or not. So yeah, that's another example. But we'll be focusing on three major applications where it has already been implemented. So I just want to show you those cases where implementations have already been done. This is just for you to be able to take inspiration from and see that if you have a financial application around you, or if you work for some particular use case, you are able to make the best of agentic AI and use it over there. Now, we spoke about algorithmic trading, right? Where we said that the script will take a call, right? Now, the script is a computer which is taking a call. And within a script, we usually write some if statements or some, say, rule-based system, right? Which has been developed earlier. Now, with autonomous trading, what we are doing is we are making this agent who is capable of taking these decisions on our behalf. So these AI systems take independent decisions to either buy, sell, or hold a particular stock based on your real-time market data. So not just looking at your historical data, but your real-time market data, and is taken into consideration. And of course, there is no human who is giving it an insight that, okay, this is what you need to do, like say buy or sell, etc. So this autonomous trading system is something that has been developed by larger hedge funds also today to be able to take calls on buy sell, and that's what was the research which was going on in the past 5 years, and it has already been implemented in a lot of places. Now, what are the benefits associated with this kind of an autonomous trading? Of course, there would be increased profitability because you do not have a human who is monitoring it, right? If you do not have a human monitoring it, it is going to save costs up to a certain extent. Then minimize human bias, because if you look at it as humans, we generally are biased towards something or the other. It's by default scenario, right? Then what would be the other challenges? When we talk about challenges, I think the major challenge that would come to my mind with respect to a stock market scenario or investing is volatility, right? We don't trust systems, or we don't tend to rely on them majorly because they have a volatile nature in general, right? In terms of the movement of the stock prices, the movement of all financial instruments that we have where we invest in. So that is a major concern with respect to volatility. But that is the nature of the stock market, not something that you can actually control. But what you can do best is you can get real-time decisions over here with the help of the implementation of autonomous trading. And the strategies that are created are also adaptive. Because when you really talk about agentic AI, in a way, at the baseline, you are implementing reinforcement learning. So when it's reinforcement learning, what you're using is an environment and an agent who has the liberty to be able to take calls, to be able to take decisions based on the observations and the goals that they have in an environment. Then speed and efficiency also, because the speed of an AI agent would be far more greater than what we have as humans, right? So that's how autonomous trading becomes a very, very great example for agentic AI in finance. There are some companies who've already implemented this. Interactive Brokers is one of them. TradeStation is another such use case where they are using these strategies underlying in their frameworks. Now we spoke about how we can use it in autonomous trading. Now, second major concern is risk management and fraud detection. Why is this a major concern? Because we have money at stake. Whenever there is a fraud that is occurring, what you will see is a lot of amount of money is at risk, at stake. So these agentic AI systems, if they are able to assess, look at transactions and really understand that, okay, this transaction is fraudulent, it will help us save money, it will help us save a lot of people's major assets which they would have built up over the years, right? And in this particular case, credit risk is a major risk to be mitigated. So as I mentioned, I was talking about this example where when you go to a bank and ask for a loan, they analyze the data that you provide from a profile perspective, and then they get back to you with an answer whether your loan is going to be sanctioned or not, right? A usual turnaround for this process till now used to take around 2 to 3 days. But recently, HDFC Bank has implemented this kind of a system, a loan approval system, where it takes in data from you as a user and comes back to you with a response in just 10 seconds. It's a very, very, very well established system which is able to do so. But how is it able to do so? At the back end, they are of course using agentic AI, where they are taking in information from the user. They are analyzing their past history, their transaction, their behavior, and on the basis of which they take a decision related to that. So in banking, you will see a major use case related to risk management and fraud detection, where you can make the best of such things. Then secondly, you will have like a multi-purpose agent which is designed for different tasks in the banking space. So say here what you can see is like there would be a brain which is responsible for the major task which you have in the financial space, and then related to it you'll have child tasks which are doing various other tasks. So this is about risk management and fraud detection, and you can see multiple use cases and implementations today. Now I'll talk about one of the major problems that the financial industry is facing today, and solving this is a major concern because we do not have one product today which is able to solve this particular use case, and it's an unsolved problem because of the nature of the data. So why are we talking about this? Especially because it's the document processing system, and the financial industry has a lot of documents coming into picture when we talk about data. Talk about annual report, talk about sustainability report, talk about 10Q reports. Any such documents have different structures, different formats. Not just that, one company's annual report will be way different in format from the other company's annual report. So if you have to develop a common system which is able to address each and every document and is able to extract data from it, it is a major challenge today. There is no product today that exists and solves each and every problem. It is lacking in some or the other level of complexity today. What is this? So when you talk about documents, what would we want to do from it? So as analysts, we tend to read a lot of documents and extract data from it to be able to extract insights. So in this case, what we would need as an easier task for us would be document extraction. So say you have a PDF document of an annual report and you want to extract data from it. So say for this example, like you have such a kind of a document and there is some data over here which is present in a table. Now I want to extract this data in a tabular format so that I can store it in an SQL database. When I do this, this is a major concern. Here there are libraries, there are implementations which are helping us to do this task, but the nature of this table is so tricky that you're not able to do it in the most efficient way. There will be errors, there will be problems which will not help us to do this in the most easiest manner. So this is a concern. It uses computer vision along with Agentic AI to be able to solve this problem. Then when these tables have actually been extracted, downstream we would want to send these documents to be classified accordingly. And when you want to classify these documents, say into check, contract, order, application, similar categories, we would send this to an agentic AI who will be able to do this task for us, because we would want this to be done in an automated manner rather than you spending manually efforts to be able to do so. Because as humans, when we will sit and look at 30-page document and understand that, okay, what kind of a report is this? How much time would we invest in this particular process? We will not be able to do more than, say, 50, 60 documents in a day. But when you have this already implemented by the AI, the volume that can be really processed is going to be very high. So that's the difference. You get speed and efficiency and also quality along with it when you implement it via an agentic AI system. Now I just want to walk you through a sample workflow which shows how we really use the search mechanism when we want to extract information from documents. So this document processing system that I'm talking about majorly has multiple applications. First one being document translation, second one being document summarization, third one being document search, fourth one being document extraction, and many such, there are 17 to 18 such applications which are available. Now here, when we look at this particular diagram, there are certain components which are very typical of agentic AI. So here you can see that there is one layer on the left hand side which is talking about multiple documents. So there are multiple documents which are fed into the system, which you can see over here. And what we do over here is nothing but a pre-processing bit. So in the pre-processing bit, what do? We do an EDA analysis. EDA is something that we all know about, exploratory data analysis. See and extract maximum information out of it. Secondly, this is embedding. So what do you do with embeddings? Embeddings is converting your text to numbers, right? So if you have converted your text to numbers, it's more easier to develop an answer for it when you have a question around it. So this particular embedding is stored in a vector database. There are multiple vector databases available today. Pinecone, Milverse, there are so many. You can use one according to your convenience, whatever suits your application and whatever does work well for you, with respect to costing, with respect to efficiency, speed, and whatever the need of the application is. The third part over here is the vector store tool and the summary tool. So with those embeddings that you obtain from the vector database, you're going to be creating a summary out of it. Now the summary that you create is something which agentic AI can do. Like if you give ChatGPT, say 3 paragraphs and say that generate a summary out of it, it's able to do that, right? It's an agentic AI. But it's open source and it has its own limitations. Now, when we work with proprietary data, we have other concerns. That is, what kind of summarization tool are we using? Is our data something that is going to be leaked or is it going to be used in the right way? So that is what is a summary tool, and this is the agent. Now, this agent is something which could be GPT-4, could be Llama 3, could be Mistral. These are all open source models, right? And these models can actually be utilized to be able to use them in the most default way, or you fine tune them according to your needs and then work with it. Now, how does this work? Like if you have a search query, you would write in a query, right? And you would expect a response. So that's what happens here. When there is a user question that comes in here, it passes the query to the agent. Now, agent uses all of this information on the left-hand side and comes up with a response. So it is able to read the document, read multiple documents that you give it as an input, work with it, and generate responses accordingly. So this is an example of how you can really get a search result. So say I want to know what was the revenue in the last quarter for an XYZ company. And if I give the annual report to it, it is able to answer that. How is it able to answer that? Because it has done some embedding process here, converted all your text to numbers, then it has stored all of this information here in the vector store, generated a summary, and that's how it is able to get the answers for the particular questions that we asked to it, right? So this is how a typical workflow looks like. This is a very basic diagram, a very basic caricature, you can say, which is used, and on the basis of which you build up on it to be able to build other applications. Now, we spoke about a lot of applications and we spoke about how it's really implemented. Now, there are certain conclusions with respect to it. First of all, being that finance earlier was not very receptive to using data science ML models, but today it is. The change has been because of the trust and support that agentic AI has given to it. So autonomous decision making is something which has been adopted by the financial field today. And more like a lot of questions that come across over here are whether AI should take over, like should it be like a competition between the different models or should it be a collaboration? So AI does help in terms of human expertise, right? Wherever it's an automated thing that you would really want to achieve. So what analysts can really do is, like, if it can really process, like say for example, a document processing system can take in say 10,000 documents and generate voluminous replies, it can use that to do further tasks downstream. So we should be able to leverage AI at the maximum. So what is the future? A lot of us are really concerned about that. That is AI human feedback loops. That is, AI creates certain replies, AI creates certain responses, but what the human does is human refines it. So there is some kind of intervention. So 80 to 90% of the work AI does. What does the human do? Human will just refine it and make it better. What is the call to action for developers here? A lot of us are developers here and who may or may not have used Agentic AI right now. I think building responsibly is very, very important because we should be able to explain the model that we've created. We should be able to leverage the tools that we have. So say you have TensorFlow agents, you have Hugging Face models, and more such open source tools, right? And we should also ensure that we are partnering with the subject matter expertise, because finance is a very risky field. Risky in the sense that you have to work under regulations, compliance, and everything. So you need to ensure that you are collaborating with the right set of subject matter expertise to be able to, cater to any requirements that you have. And there are two questions which are asked often. First of all being, will agentic AI democratize finance or deepen inequality? So it's a very common question which I come across, where they say that how is it going to really shape the financial space? The answer lies in how we are really going to define it. Like, how are you going to define and design it? The way it works is, as far as you're working under the limitations and the constraints and you're able to make the most of it with the technology advancements that we have, we are doing fine. There's no problem in adopting AI and finance as well in that space. Now, I think this is one question which a lot of youngsters ask who want to really start out in the AI space. That is, will AI take our job going forward? Like, is it just going to eat our jobs up and are we going to be replaced? We are obviously replaceable in the IT space, but nevertheless, AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI very well will. So if you don't know how to use ChatGPT or DeepSeek or whatever new models come in, you have the complete capacity to be replaced in that case. So as far as you're able to keep up with technology and upskill, everything should be fine. Thank you, guys. So open to any questions that you have. Yeah.
Hi, nice presentation.
Thank you.
You spoke about robo-advisory sometime in your
Yeah.
So, robo-advisory has been here since 2015, 2016, and I think one or
Correct.
two companies grow, or few have, but it's not gained much traction. I don't understand. I mean, you can feed all the data now to the models, and people still don't want robo-advisory. Why is it not taken off in India? Abroad it has. What's your take on this?
So robo-advisory, in my understanding, is testing has not been done enough, first of all. It has not been tested very well. So the systems which have been developed, like the models which have been created, are not competent enough today. So in India specifically. And secondly, in India, we have a lot of reliance on human touch. So if our investment advisor is going to tell us that, okay, advise in this XYZ scheme, we will trust it any day more than an AI. Because we have been people first more than technology first, as a country as well. It has taken us a little bit time to adopt it. It will come into picture, but the testing data that we have is a little bit lesser. These models need to be tested on huge data. And also the third point being the nature of volatility, which is there. So I think that's also a reason why we don't trust it. So if it comes to me also, and if a robo advisor is going to come to me, we'll always question its credibility first more than even seeing its features, I guess. So that's just the nature of how Indians work in certain aspects. It will come, it will take some time. Any other questions?
Anyone else? No. I think that's it. Yeah, all right. Thank
That's
you.
cool. Thank you. Thank you. No problem.
Thank you, Ekta, for that very enthusiastic session.